Hey there, and welcome to MathReps Monthly. It is January 2022. So, Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully, you can hear me. I did check my microphone beforehand and it was working. So, today we're just going to look at MathReps and how you can use them in the classroom and kind of how they work out that way. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started. MathReps are super easy to go ahead and start using in your classroom right away. We're going to take a look at a few examples. Let me get back up here. Here we go. So this is, let me get rid of some of these things. Make it a little bit larger for you. I don't know if you guys know this, there's a new feature. So over here, you can see this side window here. If you click on this arrow right here for the film strip, it'll go away, boom, and make it a little bit larger for you. Yes, we love this. So looking at this, it's a little bit larger for you. There it is. So looking at this is a second grade math prep. This is really great, like it says, for skip counting. This has a total of 6 standards written on it, which is amazing. And so if you're not sure which standards are on it, I'm slowly but surely going through. I kind of took a little bit of a break there the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to get back into it. I do have this week off. I do know how fortunate I am for that. So those of you who went back today, Monday, January 3rd, um, I hear you. I'm going to be in your boat next week, but I know it was a really short break for you. So let's make your life a little bit easier. The standards will be listed in the sorry, in the speaker notes. So let me make that a little bit smaller right there. So you can see these are all of the standards that are here. So there's a bunch of NBT standards, and then there's an order of operation standards that's in here as well. So these are all on one, there we go, one paper, right? So here you have ones, tens, hundreds. You tell them what to start at and what they are counting by. Are they going to be counting by twos, fives, tens? Again, this is a second grade one, but this is really great for third grade. Why not do this in third grade when you're doing multiplication, right? So skip counting by threes, fours, things like that. Now, the beautiful part about this is you don't always have to make up the number. This little spinner right here, so if you click on it, it actually takes you to something called Wheel of Names. And let me show you what that looks like. So you can kind of spin and, ooh, hang on a minute. There we go. So you spin it and it will go to, different digits. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So I love this. If you haven't used Wheel of Names, do it. It's free. It's totally fantastic. So you can always create your own. So you can spin this. So I can spin it. I don't have to do anything else. I can spin it. And the first digit is going to be 9. So you can decide, is that going to be the ones, tens, or the hundreds? You can also have the students decide where they want that to go. I keep this, just personally for me, I'm going to keep it in here. So I'm going to go ahead and close it. So I just keep it in here so they can have 9 more than once. So you can have the students doing this on their own once they are familiar with how to use this particular math rep. So jumping back over to the second grade math rep there. There we go. So you have them start at, you write the number. So say the number is, so when you're first getting started, you want to give them success. So maybe start with, the number 15, right? So they're going to put the 5 and the 1. So, and maybe they're only counting by fives because they know how to do that. So they feel really good about that. Or they're counting by tens. Do something that they're going to be successful in, because the idea is to get the protocol down. So they start at, say, 15 and they're going to count by fives. So here we have it start skipping. So they start skipping 15, 20, 25, and so on and so forth. You have them write the number 15 because that is your number of the day. So you would have them writing 15 in standard form expanded form, and word form. Go to the next, oops. Go to the next slide. There we go. So here's an example of what it looks like. I'm going to move this off to the side. Actually, I'm going to delete that. And so you can see I have them starting at 52 on this one, and I wrote it here, ones, tens, hundreds. They start at 52 and they're going to count by twos. So it starts at 52 and ends at 72. This isn't so pretty right now because it's just an example, right? So you start with the standard form, you go to the expanded form, word form, then you go to the base 10 numerals in words, so 0 hundreds, 7 tens, 2 ones. You'll notice up here it does say, there it is, it does say the ending number. So you're going to be working with the ending number on this one. If you don't want to do that and you want it to be the start number, go ahead, make a copy, and then just put start number and then just do it that way. I'm good with that. Whatever makes sense for you and allows your students to have success is what we want, right? Like it's all about student learning. So, is this number even or odd? Now, I do realize in second grade that even and odd numbers only goes up to, I think, 20. So you can you can talk about, is the number in the ones place even or odd? And just kind of do it that way. Is the, ending number even or odd? Again, the number in the ones place you might do. And then somebody has suggested commutative property so that they're still getting that. So you'll notice, again, there are 6 different standards that they're getting on this on a daily basis. So how do you get started with this? Well, you do it with them together. And it's going to take a while that first time. And you know what? That's okay that it's going to take a while. If it's taking a while, your kids are going to be fine. It doesn't really matter. So go ahead and do it for the first week, do it together. So day 1, you're going to do it together and they're not going to be super sure of it, but you're going to get them through it. And it's going to take a while. It might even take the entire time period. And you know what? That's okay, because that time that you're using now, you'll save later on. And when I say later on, I mean by the end of the week. So don't worry about it. You're fine. Day 2, and so they're getting that immediate feedback. And we know that with Hattie's research, you need immediate feedback to have it make an impact on students. And then day 2, do it all together again. Day 3, do it all together. By day 3, you are going to have some students they're like, can I go ahead? And depending on your students, because you know your students best, some students you're going to say, yes. And other students you're going to say, you know what, why don't you just kind of stick with us? So depending on, which kids, so on and so forth. By Friday, so Friday, you can either choose to use this as an assessment, and they're going to freak out the first time they do this. And they're just going to be like, wait, you're not doing it with us? What do you mean? Assure them that all this is a baseline. What is it that you know, that you are confident in, that you feel really good in, and do those. If you're not so sure, go ahead and give those ones a try too. If you don't know, like say they don't know what odd and even is, just quietly talk to those kids and, that's one that they don't do this week. Doesn't mean that they're not going to do it, next week, or they're not going to learn it. It just means this week they're not ready for it. Okay, great. So now every kid, you have a baseline assessment on every kid. So on week 2, moving forward, they do it on their own. So something like this, I would split it up into 3 sections, quite honestly. So the first section I would do is, all right, you have X number of minutes, depending on your students and depending on your class, you have 2 minutes to do the number line, go. And I do off track really easily and I lose track of time. So I absolutely need to keep that in my mind. So that's one reason I do it. Secondly, even if they don't finish, there are no penalties for that. If they don't finish, tell them to just write it in, like just write in the ones you didn't get, like it's fine. And then, so again, they're getting the repetition and they're getting that immediate feedback. Did they get it right? Did they not get it right? Did they not use their time wisely? Then I would go to do this section, this ending number section with the standard form, and expanded form and whatnot. check it right away, and then do these two again and check it right away. So at the end, you don't have any checking to do. They've checked their own papers. You don't need to have them trade out because this is just practice for them. You just want them practicing. So that's what you're going to do. Um, so we're going to look at a few more examples on this one. And here we go. So here's a fifth grade one. So this is the original one. This is the original one that I created. Goodness, those kids, one of them just celebrated her quinceañera. Um, so this has been a while. um, at 5 years, right? Quinceañera. So this has 7 standards on it. And those standards, let's check those out. Again, they're listed below here. So all of these NBTs, and we know that some of these NBT standards will have more than one concept within a standard. So while it's 7 standards, which is a lot of standards to be hitting at once, it's also um, it's also there's a lot of other components that go along with it. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. So let's look at this one. And again, all I did was do this middle number, the number of the day. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, my brain works in a very weird way. And for those of you who know me, you absolutely know that my brain works in weird ways. So I have a number of the day here. So here's where it goes. Now, the way my brain, wackadoodle brain, not even going to lie, but it actually does make sense to me. Here are your basics right here in the middle. So when I did it, because I'm currently out of the classroom, helping other teachers, I did this section. So I did the middle section first. And the way I did it was, and then I went from top to bottom. What did I do? No, I did not do top to bottom. Oh, hi. So I did the number of the day. That was what they got. You might want to start with a very simple number of the day and just to maybe 1,000, or yeah, maybe just to 1,000 without the decimal point. Or no, you do need a decimal point. So just maybe a smaller number, maybe even just to 100 with a decimal point. That's okay. I would have them do expanded notation and word form, and that was it. And then we saved these. Don't ask me why. Like, again, I have a wacky brain. I think part of it too is how it fit on the page. And then we would go to this left side. So everything on this left side, this makes sense to me, is greater. So we're looking at things that are greater. So 10 times greater, 100 times greater. This number to the 10 power of 3. Then we would do adding with the decimals. Then they would have to write a number that is greater than the number. And they had to change a number in the decimal place after, within the uh in the decimals. Sorry. So to me, this was a greater experience for the students because they weren't just changing a number, they weren't just looking at it and comparing them. They had to think about it and they had to produce something. With the greater than less than sign, which is a very valuable skill, and it is something that they do need to know how to do. Sometimes you can just kind of guess, like it's a 50-50 chance. So we would really talk about this, and then we would also line up those numbers and really have deep discussions on why it was greater or why it was less. And then finally, I would come over here to the 1/10 less and 100th time less. And then we would subtract the decimal, which was really mean because you have to regroup every single time because this first number has a 0 in the hundredths place, right? And then the number below it is going to have an actual digit in the hundredths place. I was really sneaky and mean, and I thought I was brilliant, and I was totally here for it. And so they practiced that. It would be also fun to practice. You can have them like, compare those numbers, but neither here nor there. Then they had to write a number that was less, and they had to change a digit, excuse me, that was after the decimal again. But again, they were looking at what is a number that is less. So we got into some really great deep discussions on why it was less. and what makes it less, comparing the places. While one student may change the 10th place, or yeah, excuse me, the 100th place, this student may change the 10th place, right? And what was the difference behind that? And why was it less than? Prime factors, there's not a lot of room on this, but prime factors on this one. And that shows up on a lot of the fifth grade math ones. It's just a harder concept, so I needed to do that. Now, here's the beauty of this. If your students, if you're not working with prime factors, you can take it off, make a copy, take it off. Your kids don't have to do it. If you have a student, I had a student who, bless his little heart, this was too much for my friend to do. So I made sure that if I'm giving it to him, he saw expanded notation and word form, and maybe he only had 10 times greater and 100 times greater. Maybe I didn't put this on there for him. Maybe he had to add, but I took off this. So depending on what it was, he was receiving services. So depending on what his IEP and what your students' IEPs are and what their goals are, you can readjust it, and nobody knows because you can do this digitally. I'm personally a huge fan of doing this on paper pencil. Huge fan of that. I love having students write it down. It's just, to me, it's more powerful. I just, you can have a stack and his is underneath, so you're passing out papers and do, and then you just grab his from underneath. Nobody knows. And, you talk to them beforehand and be like, "Hey, I kind of change things around." And they're okay with that. They're cool with it. Um, so that's what was happening with this. And then, of course, after the prime factorization, then I went back to the middle again because you got to round it all out. So then you have kids rounding the number. You tell them, do you want to round it to the nearest 100? Start off when you first start off with like round to whatever the first number is. So this is in the 10,000s place. So have them round it to the nearest 10,000. Period. End of story. Because they can do that. It's those middle ones, as you well know, that is really difficult for kids to kind of start to get and understand. And then have them write that number as a power of 10. Yeah. And then have them write the number that's after the decimal, as a fraction. And then that helps that helps them to start to see, oh, it is 259 thousandths. Oh, 259 out of 1,000. So it's not. So they start making those connections as to the place and how it's said, and the meaning behind 259 thousandths and what it takes to make a whole out of that. So my students found it really powerful. One of my favorite stories to tell is this particular one with adding and subtracting decimals. This was a different year that I did it. There were a few of us that were getting ready for the SBAC testing, so pre-COVID times. And my students, it was whatever task we were practicing. Like all of us in fifth grade gave our students the same task, just as a practice to see what they could do, and what holes we needed to fill. So we gave them one. It was a basic. You go to the store and you buy 2 erasers and 3 pencils, and you know the ones I'm talking about, right? And then you have to figure out how much they spent versus the change that they get back. So my kids, like, they did phenomenal on it. Like, they knew what to do. Like, as soon as they saw, like, okay, well, we bought this and this and this. Okay, well, how much did you spend? Like, they had no problem. Lickety split. Like, they knew what to do. Another classroom didn't. The teacher was like, "Oh, I don't know what happened." Like, my students were doing that. They didn't know where to put the decimal. I was like, "Oh God, that's really interesting." So I don't know. Let me go back to my class, because at this point in the year, we had cultivated, within my class, and I think within our fifth grade team, we had cultivated a, we're not competing against each other. We're in this together. So like, what are we doing differently? Like, what is this class doing that like they're doing should be doing? So I came back to my class and I said, so, what did we do that they didn't do? And it was a legit question, whatever. And there was no judgment. And the kids were like, well, listen, you make us do it on those math reps. And it was on adding and subtracting decimals was on math reps, on a few different math reps. So because they had been exposed to it, it became second nature for them, which is exactly what you want with any edu protocol, or in this particular case, math reps. You want them to get over the idea of, okay, I know what I need to do, adding different prices up, but now I don't know what to do with the decimal. Like, so that becomes an additional stumbling block for kids. We don't want additional stumbling blocks. We want to get those basics out of the way so that that is not a stumbling block, so that they can put all of their big brain power into, okay, I need to, what do I need to do? Okay, I need to add prices. I know how to do that. And then that doesn't, you know, gunk them all up, right? So that was a really great success. So these things actually do work, and I love it. So I know some of you are going, I know like with the new variant that's out there, some of us are going back to virtual, and that is like super scary. Oh, I do need to say that the math reps that are on here, mathreps.com. So, um, whoops. So, oh, I'm not going to do that right now. So mathreps.com is going to, it has it all there for you. And if you want to do paper ones, they are made on slides. So I do them all on slides. They're made on slides that are 11 by 8.5. So they're actual printer paper size. So you don't have to worry about that. You can just go ahead and print them out and not worry. Now, some of you, like I said, are going virtual, and that is super scary because nobody likes it. I mean, nobody likes doing the whole virtual thing, like it's really hard and you have to engage kids and whatnot. So looking at this, you have the same thing. It's not so cute. You can put the cutesy things on it. That's fine. Um, you can do it on Jamboard. A lot of our collection is on Jamboard too. So the majority of what you see on the slides is also on Jamboard. Second grade Jamboard, there are two Jamboards because Jamboard only goes up to 20 slides, and I had more than 20 slides. As with everything, here it is, and I give an example of it as well. So, oh, I like start counting by 52. Okay, well, sorry about that. So you can go ahead and do this on Jamboard. And if you haven't used Jamboard, I highly recommend you check it out. It's super easy to use. So there's a pen tool. And if your students have touch screens, it's really easy for them to do the touch screen. These are the only 4 pen tools that they have. You can't have more. These are the 6 colors that they have. That's it. So your kids aren't wasting their time finding the perfect color, the perfect, whatever that they're looking for. Like, no, like, friend, you have 6 choices and you're not choosing white. So you're down to 5 choices now. Have fun with that one. Super easy to use. Love it. The older students can do text boxes if you want them to. The younger students find it easier to use the pen tool. And some of the older kids do too. If you would like these and you're like, oh, I want this, you have to make a copy. Please do not request access to it because they will not give it to you, as it is, these are mine. So it's like me giving you my original copy and then you're marking it up. I have absolutely no problem with, you going to a copy machine of a paper that I created, you making your own copy and then, pasting and, whiting out and doing, modifying it to fit your own needs. That's great. I'm here for that. So the way that you do that in a Jamboard is you go to the 3 dots. I have directions here on the yellow. You come here to the 3 dots and you can go down to make a copy. I know it doesn't have the file like we're used to, but it does have a make a copy feature. So feel free to do that. And then going over to, if you're unsure on how to, see, stop sharing. There we go. If you're unsure how to do that on Google Slides, let me show you how to make a copy on Google Slides. So I have to get some of my stuff back. There we go. So under File, make a copy. So you can select particular slides, or you can do the entire presentation and then it becomes yours. If you do that, what we do ask is that you keep the original. I don't know why that doesn't have a logo on it. Okay. You keep the original creditor and any logos that are on it. So you'll notice that this one doesn't have a logo either. Some of them have logos. I don't know where this one went. So keep the logos on it and keep the credits on it. If you modify it, please keep the credits on it, but add your name. You can say created by your name, and then our names or whoever's name is on it who created it, inspired by or adapted from, and just keep the names on it, and then just keep the names growing. Nobody cares. We're all in this together. Like, this is not something that is a state held secret or anything like that. We are all doing this together, and yeah. So I hope this was somewhat useful for you. If you have any questions, please hit me up. And let's see. Yeah, so go ahead. You can contact me, mathreps.com. So you can always do mathreps.com. And oops, that's not what I meant to do. So feel free to join me at any time and let me know what you're doing with it. And if you create something, please feel free to share out and give it to me. And then we'll just put it into the shared folder, because I did not create all of these. You guys are the experts in the classrooms. I can't be the expert of K-12 math standards. And if somebody is an expert on K-12 math standards, like, hats off to you. I am not that person. So thank you very much, and I will see you next month in February for MathReps Monthly. Take care. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Stay healthy.